Hey HTDA, and welcome back to Captain of Industry. This time around I'm going to fix a lot of tiny little things and take a little bit of your advice actually, because as I requested, people have been suggesting things to me in the comments and there's actually a couple of really good ideas in there. So let's follow up on that. But before I do that, I do want to say thank you to quite a few people that became a member of the channel recently. So thank you to GameDex, Miroji, Bantering, Rates, Lindsley, 1, Tiki832 for becoming members of the channel. Remember, if you could become a member of the channel, you actually do get early access to my content, other than also, of course, just supporting the channel, which is very much appreciated. Now, let's see. First things first. Apparently I'm in battle. I keep exploring the map. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure why, because most of the things in there I don't necessarily need. But anyway, first things first, I need to do something about my dumping. And by that, I mean that I want to do a couple of things. First of all, I was starting to build a new hill here, to mostly just to save up on some of my dirt. But honestly, I don't really want to do that anymore, mostly because that means I would have to, well, mine the hill again at some point, and honestly I don't really care that much about making my soil fertile at this point. I will probably in the future, but for now what I think I'm going to do is just rearrange this a little bit. Okay, so I took down the tower and I'm just going to flatten this area again, as well as this little area actually, because I want to use that very soon. And I'm just going to set the dumping again to allow the dirt to be dumped anywhere as well. Let's see, am I still expanding this little area? Apparently I am not, so let's also fix that. There we go, my trucks are now continuing to dump stuff in the ocean, and we'll get a nice little peninsula there. And the next thing I want to do is to make sure that my trucks are going to be a little bit less busy, because the main reason I found out my trucks are super busy is because all my dumping, and I'll show you here, is actually set to priority 9. You know what else is set to priority 9? Well, pretty much everything else. For example, the delivery of raw resources to my factories has the same priority. So that means that trucks are basically trying to decide, should I supply iron to the facilities or should I dump something in the ocean? Well, let's just go and dump something in the ocean. Well, obviously that is not what we want. So I'm going to go around and set the dumping priorities a little bit lower, so that hopefully my factories keep working non-stop, and dumping is just something my trucks do whenever they feel like it, but they have nothing else to do. Now, I probably want to do something about the whole road system, or lack thereof, I should say, at some point. Actually, let me know in the comments, is this something you usually do early on, building the roads to reduce all the maintenance on your vehicles? You probably don't do it like I did over here, because covering all these buildings in foundations, or whatever you want to call them, services, I think they're called in this game, looks nice, but honestly doesn't actually do anything, and I completely underestimated how much resources you need to fill this up. I mean, this is just one tile, so just this is like 100 resources in this tiny tile over here already, and multiply that with the range I tried to cover this in, and this is thousands of resources. So yeah, a little bit of a mistake on my part. I am kind of tempted to start building roads, but again, it takes so much resources, I don't think that is something I should focus on at this point in time. Although things like this nice little road here could be so nice. Anyway, next topic, water. So as a couple of you pointed out in the comments, I am now pumping up this water from the sea, but I do have another way to get water, and that is the Rainwater Harvester, and I completely abandoned that early on. However, there's not really any reason to do that, because, well, I have plenty of space and I can just supplement the water I'm getting from the ocean by some water gained from the rain. Now, I'm still not entirely sure how long this is going to last me, but I might as well build a little bit of this, because, well, there's not really any reason not to. While I do that, I actually need quite a bit of these construction parts 1, and I just found out that half my concrete production is actually not working. I apparently took it out at some point during the last episode, so here we go. Let's repair that before I completely run out of stuff. Okay, so while my water farm slowly is starting to take shape, the next topic is power, because as you can see, I continue to struggle with power, and honestly the reason for that is very simple. I have this this steam power farm setup over here, but I'm actually not producing enough steam, and well, there's not enough water reaching this either, because all of the water is actually going into the farm. So I'm going to have to deal with this and fix this as well. Luckily, there's a very easy way for me to solve that, because I actually have some steam production over here, which is producing 48 steam per minute, and I'm only using about 18 in this distillery over here, so I can use the remaining 32, or at least a part of that, to at least non-stop fuel one of these high pressure turbines, which is going to give me 6 megawatts, and as you can see, that should be more than enough to fuel whatever I need for now. There we go, that's a lot better. We are actually now producing enough power to fuel my city and stuff like that, so people are a little bit more healthy. I'm actually getting some unity again, and I just realized I can actually make this slightly more efficient as well. There we go, I now have a cooling tower that is actually transforming these low steam that I don't really have any use for back into 12 water, which is honestly quite a lot, because if you look at this, we need a 1-to-1 ratio to actually produce the steam, and this means that I'm actually getting a quarter of my steam back. So it's not a huge amount, but it's definitely worth doing just by building a single tower. So then another thing which isn't super important but has been just bugging me is that these labs that I just built, or kind of randomly in the early game, are positioned, well, randomly. And I think it's better to build them a little bit close to where I'm actually producing my science stuff. So I'm just going to move them from over here to over here. There we go, this is starting to look a lot more organized, although these huge blobs of blue in the middle take up a lot of space, but I am producing about 100 water per minute now completely for free. So yeah, I'm Dutch, I like free stuff, so I should probably have done this a lot sooner. Now, the main reason I've done this is so I can actually supply my entire facility over here, the industry at least, with water for free. I haven't actually done the math yet, so I should probably have done that first, but I am going to need like 6 times 4. Let me do the math, hold on. Okay, so I've done the math, and these 10 water collectors over here produce 70 water per minute, and that's actually just a little bit more than I need for my facilities over here. So I have some room to expand, for example, when I'm definitely going to expand on the steel very soon. So that means that this is basically working completely self-sufficient in terms of water at least, and that means that all the other water can actually go upstairs to my farms. Now, this is nowhere near enough to actually produce all the water I need for my farms. However, it is going to make sure I don't need to produce as much over here. So all in all, it's not going to waste. And of course, if I'm not pumping any seawater up here, then there's not really anything going wrong, because the only other thing I'm using it for is the steam production over here, and that will just keep working by itself. So that means the water is pretty much sorted for now. Okay, now let's look at the food situation. I am currently producing just vegetables and potatoes, but I can just add in either wheat or corn. Now, I looked at the consumption, and it looks like we can just straight up consume the corn. So this is pretty efficient. You just add this to the mix. That will drop my fertility equilibrium just a little bit further. I'm not entirely sure what is ideal here, so I'll just leave this as is. But I'm probably going to kind of change everything up here and there. Maybe add some more corn over here, but then here, as I've already said over here, just replace, for example, potatoes with corn, so we have a little bit of a mix going on in terms of what we're producing where. Now, if I'm going to add another food to the mix, or type of food I should say, potentially even 2, I should probably add in a field or 2 as well. That is going to require quite a bit of water again, but honestly, I just supplemented so much water to my system, I think I can build another farm or 2. Alright, and that's another farm done, and this one is just going to be producing corn and vegetables for now, but I am going to switch, I think, to some wheat production soon as well. Now, the thing to consider is that I'm currently manually transporting everything with my trucks. Not entirely sure how big of an issue that is, but, well, we'll just have to figure that out as we go along. So now let's also add in a little bit of wheat to the mix, because, well, I unlocked it, so might as well. And that means that I'm going to need both a mill and a baking unit in order to make sure I can actually do something with that. There we go, we have a mill up and running, so we're now going to be producing some flour as well as some animal feed. No use for the animal feed just yet, but hopefully that is something coming down the technology tree pretty soon as well, because, well, otherwise I'm just going to have to get rid of this somehow. Don't you just love the smell of freshly baked bread in the morning? Well, my village can now enjoy that. And let's see what this actually does with the happiness. Can we check on the food happiness? There we go. So bread is actually adding quite a bit of unity to the mix, so that is nice. Yeah, all in all, this is looking pretty good. We're producing a hefty amount of unity once again. I did turn off all the boosts and stuff like that, so it's not as much as it might look, but still, it's doing the trick for the moment. And yeah, I'm actually wondering if we can do something about the health. We are getting a decent amount of health from water and food, but other than that, there doesn't seem to be any way to boost that. So I do need to keep an eye on my actual pollution, because, well, if I overdo this, we're going to have a problem, because then people will just start actively dying. I did actually have an outbreak of, I think it was cholera or something like that, which did kill off quite a few people, but right now I'm up to 200 available workers, so I should probably turn off the beacon once again. Now I'll leave this irrigated farm here as planned for the moment, just so I remember that this is supposed to go here, but I actually think I'm overproducing food quite a bit. It's a little bit hard to tell because it doesn't show anywhere that I'm aware of how much food I actually need. You can see your supply, of course, but I just want to know how much I'm producing versus how much I'm consuming. And unless I just suck at actually reading this graph, I actually have no idea how much I'm overproducing or underproducing. But for the moment, it definitely seems that we're overproducing, because as you can see, we're storing up a huge amount, so we're not going to run low anytime soon. Now, I just got a message that my tree harvester has no trees to harvest, and it turns out we cleared out this entire area over here. So I am going to reassign my harvester to start harvesting this stuff up here, because it should be able to reach that now, thanks to the ramp my iron miners built over there. But that does mean I should probably start looking into some wood production. Sapling production, something like that, because, well, I don't want to run out of wood, because that's a key ingredient to actually produce, well, pretty much everything at this point. I don't think I have an alternative recipe for the construction parts that doesn't use wood, which honestly is a little weird and a little bit annoying, but it is what it is, so we'll have to deal with that. Now, I'm producing enough concrete and iron, that's not going to be a problem for anytime soon, but the wood we potentially could run out of pretty soon, so I definitely want to fix that. But that's probably going to be in the next episode, because we already did quite a lot of stuff, and I want to keep these episodes a little bit short if I can. So if you're still here, you're awesome, and I do hope to catch you in the next one.